What's good, my boy? Uh, I've been busting ass today trying to get a lot of shit cleaned up. If you saw my grind part one and part two, that's kind of like a mock up of some videos I'm going to be trying to make in the future. But since I was helping my grandparents move, I had to take this weekend to just focus in on the things I like doing and just really get in a routine again. But I wanted to talk about this topic I had today of two different directions that, well, really three, but two main ones that a lot of young men have the possibility to go down. Now, to dispel outliers immediately, I'm not going to be talking about the people who have zero interest in anything like this and they just kind of want to go with the flow of normal life and just go to college, do their shit, do their job, just normal shit, which there's nothing wrong with it. But there's this other side of the coin of like chase your dreams, play the game of money and success and fame and all these different parameters. But I like to split it down the middle to find a balance point between playing the game of chasing after money, success, conquering, whatever, and doing what you want. I want to look at Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate as two examples, okay? Joe Rogan is someone who I would consider embodies going your own way and doing what you want, okay? Everything Joe Rogan does is shit that he wants to be doing, and it's almost like creation. It's art, hobbies, his comedy, his podcasting. He likes pool. He has all these different interests that he's pursued since he was very young. His fighting, used to compete. Now he's commentating for the UFC. He's been doing it for years. He follows his own interests, his own curiosity, and instead of being persuaded, no, dude, if you really want to be financially free, if you really want to do this, you got to get on this thing right now before it all dumps out. This coin's about to dump. You got to get in on it. This drop shipping method of funnels and leads and Facebook ads is really popping off right now, dude. If you do this and you make this content every single fucking day and you do it like this with this formula and these thumbnails and learn how to edit and do all this, this is your way out. Joe Rogan, since a young age, said, fuck that. I want to do this based off of things I enjoy. And there's so many men nowadays where they choose the path of not the normal thing of college and all this, but instead of doing it this way I've described through the example of Joe Rogan, they do it through these other influencers telling them, all right, business is your only way out and you have to go through these funnels of business. And hey, if that is your curiosity, if that is what you enjoy, do it. Because what I'm saying here is basically to do what you enjoy. That is your purpose in life, is curiosities that you hold near and interests you hold near. Okay? For myself, sorry, this might be gross. I'll not be disrespectful. I'll spit this shit out so I can get done with this video. But I'll use myself as an example. For the longest time, for like the first 2 years on self-improvement, my main focuses were what all these people were telling me. It was, do all these good habits, drop all these bad things that a majority of people do that bring you down, follow my template, and do this and start this business and do this and do that. But the whole time, even since I was young, even whenever I didn't really have any vision of the future, I didn't care about anything but the present moment feeling good. I always held a couple interests near to me. One of them was making music. Another one, which was a more distant one, was building things and just creating an art in general. I always found it fascinating, but I always saw it as something out of reach that is just kind of pointless. Hippies go after that shit. That's not realistic. But this business shit, focusing in on this business shit is. So I forced myself to figure out that route, and I lived in like an angst and a frustration, and certain figures like would justify it as like, this is your good point. When you're nervous and you're anxious like this, it keeps you driven. But for me, it didn't keep me driven. what it did was make me feel kind of like I had no meaning. It was like, all right, I know that this can result in positives that I want, but it's just like, what the fuck is the point? I don't understand. And I found myself in a pool of alcohol. I found myself relapsing on all these different bad habits that I didn't want to do because they filled the void of me not feeling like there was meaning. And then one day, about a year ago, I was like, you know what? I got me a job secured that I somewhat enjoy, that pays my bills. Let me just say, take a step back from all of this shit that all these gurus are telling me and kind of try to do some shit that I enjoy and do my own way. And eventually what I'll do is like, you have to build future proof for these things, because whenever you just say you got a hobby like gardening or some real niche thing that there might be money in it in the real world, you're not going to tap into all this shit millions of dollars people online are making. And it makes you feel fear of missing out, and it makes you not want to do this thing you're really passionate about because all these other people are achieving the goals you want with all these things, with this business, with all this shit. What I had to think about was I created a goal. All right, if I do all these things that I love doing, I curated them, and they're music, it's building things out of wood, metal. It doesn't really matter. I just like the art of creating things. Oil painting, and I do enjoy making these videos. I've learned over the course of a couple years doing it, I do enjoy this. This is something that I like doing. So I added that in the mix. So I got these 4 main things going as like curated into like a grind, if you will. And I'm not seeing the fruits of the labor in terms of monetary success or a lot of people giving me validation for it. But what I do get is I get I'm in bed. Man, I can't wait to fucking wake up tomorrow. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I can't wait. I can't wait to get up. Oh, man, it's going to be so good. I'm going to do this. I wrote it all down on a pad what I'm going to get done tomorrow. It's going to be so good. So good. Okay? But for me, whenever it came to a lot of this, like, analytical mind, spreadsheets, leads, ads, this, that, I didn't find it interesting. I find it a little bit interesting on some fronts, like the CEO lifestyle of like wearing the suit and going to the office. You got your employees, managing them, all this. But it's like, it's a very surface level interest for me. After a while, I don't get the feeling of, man, I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to do that. Because whenever I put my all of my mental strength into doing something like that, I had to drop off with my true interests. And I wasn't willing to I'm not willing to sacrifice that. So for me, I look at certain people like a Joe Rogan as an inspiration of, okay, this is someone who followed his interests. He still plays pool all the time. It's one of his biggest things that he talks about sometimes in his podcast, but he says it as it's like one of his main interests. His fighting. He never was like a fucking world-renowned fighter, but he found a way to monetize that interest into a real-world thing. Fucking one of the most famous fucking commentators in the UFC. I think that's how I knew about him before the fucking podcast. Whenever I talk to old people, I'm like, Joe Rogan, older people like in their 50s or 60s, they know him from the fucking UFC. So he did that. The podcasting, he found this interesting, cool thing working out, and he pursued it before there was a lot of monetary success and all this shit, and he's the biggest one in the world. His comedy, he's not that fucking funny. I'm gonna be real. Everyone knows that. It's a running joke that Joe Rogan is not that funny. He's really good at the technique of it, but a lot of people don't find his jokes that funny. He sells out fucking stadiums, but a majority of people don't find him as funny as someone like Dave Chappelle. But he kept this art form and this interest and just said, you know what? I'm going to fucking pursue this. It worked out for him. I think that was like one of the first things that he ended up getting off the ground with, was that and acting. And he kept it with him all this way to the point where he owns his own fucking comedy thing, and he puts young comedians, they're on his show once, and because he's the comedian podcast dude, they're fucking stars just because of one appearance. All through pursuing their own thing. And there's other things that I find respectable about the man. Like, I have the image of a traditional life. Like, I want a wife. I want kids. I've ran the gauntlet on Tinder. That was one of the first chapters of my self-improvement thing, was I was a fucking virgin for my whole teenage years and fat and overweight, and I struggled with this. I got an autoimmune disorder and lost confidence in myself and all this bullshit. And I broke free of that, and I ran the gauntlet of sleeping with women and realized that this is fucking just kind of pointless. It's fun at first whenever you never done it before. But eventually I realized, all right, the life I want in terms of relationships is what a lot of these, what I would deem successful men have. A lot of the real world men that I look up to that are not on the internet. Like some of my grandparents, they're married and they have wonderful fucking lifelong companions from it. It's not like an Andrew Tate where, yeah, you look cool online because you have you impress all these young kids, but at the same time, I want what one influencer online that's really good to look up to would be like an Alex Hormozy. He preaches all this hustle culture and business shit, but he also has this like dynamic with his wife where it's like they're a fucking power couple. That shit is doper to me than sleeping with an endless allotment of women just because you can. It just seems like a waste of time to me. As well as I want to experience creating children and life and raising kids and shit like that. So that's another, I mean, I'm pretty much meat riding Joe Rogan like a motherfucker in this video, but that's not my intention. My intention is just to lay out these alternate life paths that everyone can have their own unique one, as long as you strive. Like, my pawpaw and me talk a lot. He's one of the people that I respect the most in life, and I look up to him. He didn't really pursue the path that I'm trying to pursue right now, but he pursued another path of providing for his family and sacrificing, and I believe that to be equally as honorable. He is one of the people I look up to in the real world. He's one of the most, what I would deem, equally successful on all fronts people that I know. And these people online, I kind of lost my train of thought with that, but these people online that people look up to, these young kids and shit nowadays, they understand that there's more to life than just like what people expect of you, like college and safe routes and shit like that. And there's possibilities, and we have an endless amount of examples now with this online shit. An endless amount of examples and inspirations, but a lot of them are just still kids. They worked, they did the pursuit of giving up certain passions and put it all into businesses and things like that. And a lot of them have woken up and they realize there's a lot more to life, like certain spiritual things as well as a relationship with one person. But there's people like Andrew Tate, which they have a lot of merit. They have a lot of meat and good information. But then they also have certain things that I would call bones, meat and bones that you want to discard and leave behind. Like, I don't want to be a 40-year-old man. I'll put it like this. If I could choose between being Joe Rogan or Andrew Tate, they're both world-renowned. They're both, and that's not what I'm saying I'm going after, but they're both world-renowned. They're both multi-hundreds of millions of dollars. They're both mega successful. But if I had to wake up every morning, and I'm going to make this content shit a part of my life. If I had to wake up every morning and choose to tell millions of young men to quit beating their meat, quit doing drugs, and go to the fucking gym and start an online business, or if I could turn my computer on, and I'm thinking about what I would have to do every day to maintain my level or maintain my income. Or I could turn a camera on and just shit talk and hang out with one of my buddies for like 4 hours and just go into rabbit holes and talk about shit I'm interested about and just that. A Joe Rogan, if you will. I would 100% say that Joe Rogan. There's merit in some of these self-improvement people talking, trying to inspire young men. I've gained a lot of information early on from them. But there's also a lot of it you got to kind of figure this shit out on your own. You got to find your own balance. You got to find your own values and judge and create your own thing. But a lot of it, if you start off in the right place, it will aid you. It will fucking send you on the right path immediately. Like for me, I was so lost with this shit that I'd spend a whole year pursuing hedonic pleasures with women. I would spend a whole year just trying to online business, upload YouTube video. Oh, I know what can get me out of get me financial freedom. Let me dress up like Andrew Tate and get my little brother to film me fucking with people out of college. It's my most successful video. It popped off immediately. For what? For what? That's not, for me, that's not a meaning. I'm not a puppet. I'm not a monkey dance fucking jester. I'm Cameron, who loves making music, loves making art and creations, spending time with my family, and pursuing things that I like. I'm not this fucking puppet to entertain people online. I try to make things that I would enjoy consuming and I would feel related to, as well as kind of me guiding my younger self in what would help me the most. So, I know I go off in a lot of rambles in these just talking head videos, but it's truly something to think about as a possibility. The possibility to, and a lot of people are doing it. Like, I might be just sitting here preaching to the fucking choir that this has already been regurgitated, but it's like, there is no, this is the realistic path, this is what's going to result. Purpose is meaningless. There's no reason to chase after a purpose. If you don't know your purpose, it's online business and it's this and it's getting rich and out of this financial shit, when you can do them both in unison. How the fuck do you think? I know a couple people in town, whenever I used to go to the bars and the karaoke's, there was this group of kids. I call them kids because they weren't 30-year-olds or a lot of the people I spend time with in town, 50, 60, 70-year-olds. It was kids my age that were in the military. And one of them was 24. He had 4 kids, a wife, and a career in the military. And he didn't give a fuck about any of this online shit. He almost, I was almost mesmerized by seeing someone with such a level of just comfort and success in themselves and not being like so many people I know persuaded by this online presence of do this. Or it's he did all of these things that he's kind of gained a level, and he has his own problems and all this shit, but he's gained this level of success that he's created his own parameters around. This is what I deem successful and this is what I have. And he did it all in unison. All in unison. He didn't try to become a millionaire online through some path he found meaningless and then pursued this and pursued that. You don't have to do that. You can do them in unison. That's really the message of this video. And it's been the message of a shit ton of my videos. Because I still will get persuaded. I still get persuaded by the influencer that I find really, I deem to be meritable and respectable. And I really like them. But they have a completely different view on life than me. I still, because I'm so young and naive, I find myself from time to time getting persuaded for a couple days to listen to them and be this is the answers and this is that, because I do get down and I do have certain times where I don't feel like fucking turning on all my equipment or getting in the shop or going and building a fucking house or working on the same job for like 3 weeks straight because something got fucked up and we got to tear it all back down and redo it. I don't have the motivation sometimes. So I not only for my younger self, but for myself now, this is just like a video journal of things that come into my head that I need to play back to myself and remind myself, even at this point, where I'm extremely grateful, but I've set myself up in a way that I can take time away from my job in the future and pursue my real goals with 100% time commitment into it all. And I have this property and this land at my disposal that I can just craft and mold into my own. And that's another aspect of this whole thing, is no matter which path you choose, if it's the entrepreneurial thing or it's this or that, you need to constantly zoom out and look at what you have in your surroundings and in your tool belt, what you have, and realize that and be grateful for it. Not just be looking for the next thing that someone else has that you want, but be grateful for the shit that you have in that moment. That's another key to this whole recipe. And if I keep going, I'm going to try to explain the fucking meaning of life or some bullshit in this video. But I try not to lay out my goals too much. But my pawpaw did ask me, because he watches my videos, he asked me like, I really like this video, but you didn't really lay out your goals. And I guess I kind of forget to do that in some of these because I've done it in the past. But my goals in this present moment is 5 weeks from now, have a good amount of fucking money saved up so I can take a step back from contracting and working construction and focusing all my time on cleaning up my property, getting it to my standards, practicing my music and making music daily, making my paintings and shit as I feel and deem necessary, because it's kind of one interest I have that I use as like a hobby with no boundaries around it, as well as make these videos and curate a form of a video that's a repeatable formula that is also entertaining, educating, and will give some form of perspective, as well as in unison to all this, which sounds like a lot, but in my mind I have it all mapped out on a time scale, and I've been able to manage it while also working 8 to 10 hours every single day on a job. But all that, and in the initial phase in the beginning, on top of my savings to boost me up, make things in my wood shop and out of metal, and I have numerous different projects going with building that will get me off the ground. And this is my plan so far. There's still some holes. I don't expect someone to come out and hand me money or anything like that. I have a clear vision on exactly what I need to do, and I'm very regimented towards it. Also have a balance of free time and time with my family and shit like that, because that is necessary, 100% necessary. But the wood shop will be my initial source of income, and whether or not that is a true just pursuit in itself, if it works out in the thing where I'm like in production and I'm making all these things and money's coming in and all that, I might pursue that. But in this moment in time, I would be lying to myself if I say that is my main interest. It is one of my interests, and one of them that I'm not willing to give up or yield time towards. I love doing it. It's not something that I'm going to just quit doing for the pursuit of music. But my main two things that I see myself creating wealth, or at least a living from, is my music combined with these videos of me doing all of these things. I truly see it in my head as something that is possible. And once you find the little niche things that you enjoy, it does not have to be one. Don't let these fucking people online tell you jack of all trades, master in one. They say that. Ask them, what about fucking Rogan? What about Da Vinci? What about all the multifaceted people out there that just don't do one single fucking thing? And package it all. That's my true goal at this moment. And I just can't wait. I'm extremely excited. I'm working towards it every single fucking day, as well as trying to clean this place up, just chunking things. And I have a lot of methods that keep me consistent and keep me organized with doing these things that I will share in the future once I have more time to plan out longer videos, more structured videos. But in the meantime, to remain consistent on uploading and talking to you boys, I'm going to just continue what I feel I can muster up during that day while also managing all this other shit. And for the most part, on the weekends and the weekends of the next 5 weeks, I'll probably come out with a couple more of these mock-up vlog-style videos of all of the niches combined together. I need to figure out a way to document them in document different ones where I don't have to feel the need to entertain 100% of the time, as well as these talking head videos will continue. And they're not all going to be like this, where I'm just kind of like trying to piece together a video idea at once. And really, this is fucking 25 minutes long already, so this can be considered a fucking podcast. I was doing the podcast with my boy Devin on the Come Up Conversation channel. If y'all want to see some more shit from me, I have a channel that it's been like 3 or 4 weeks since we've done any, because we both had some shit that really took us out of being able to come together on that. But we do a podcast where he's in the middle of pursuing modeling. He's just got signed to something, pursuing music as well, and trying to balance it with the job. And I have all my interests, and we just come together and we talk about different struggles and different things we're thinking about. And that's pretty much what's going on right now. I'll come up with another video tomorrow. It'll probably be something more structured and philosophical than this video that was just kind of a long ramble/rant. But just remember, my boy, you can truly do anything in this world if you want. There is nobody that can govern it. As long as you are taking responsibility and accountability for your own things and have like bills and all this shit, you can't expect anybody else to take care of you in that sense. And I've been blessed in the past couple weeks from certain living situations, as well as my grandparents who I helped them move, and they very, very graciously gave me a good amount of money that will jumpstart this pursuit. Doesn't make my come up story as cool because I got a little bit of a handout, but I did work for it. But you must have this shit figured out and structured. You can go the method of jumping off the ledge with no backup plan and all this, but at the end of the day, I feel like being clear-headed, there's this big argument, being clear-headed and going after a goal versus being very anxious and scatterbrained. Like Andrew Tate preaches this thing of you need to constantly be anxious and stressed out going towards it. For me, I got a fucking autoimmune disorder. If I get too stressed out and I get like just where I'm biting my fucking nails and I can't sleep at night, I break out in hives and have fucking skin issues all over from stress and bad diet. And I'm not consistent very well. That's just the way I work. So I like to have peace. I like to have little clutter as possible around me. And I like to just be able to go from thing to thing at my own will. Anyway, video's reaching 30 minutes. I'm going to go get some more shit done and cook me some burgers on the grill. You have a good one, my boy. Chase paper, enjoy art and nature, and have a good day.